So today I have a story. We can call it a story time. And I hope that you stay till the end. If you do find yourself still here at the end of this video, then please like and subscribe. And I really hope that you do. Thank you so much for subscribing to those who have already. And thank you for liking and watching my videos. I am so super grateful. Thank you guys so very, very much for your support. It does motivate me to be as consistent as I possibly can be. So yeah, thank you so much. And of course, I have a goal, and that is to only improve, to make better content so that you can enjoy it more and more. With that being said, before I start my story, I just want to say this is me that is attempting to sketch, and I wanted to sketch a dog. I thought it was going to be really cool if I could sketch a dog for the visuals of this video, since seeing my story time is about a pet that I had when I was a child. And I am not an artist. Please do not come for me in the comments. My sketch is not going to be perfect at the end. But like I said, I thought it would be fun, and I hope you find it entertaining. So this is just an attempt. I am no artist, just to stress that once again. So anyway, to carry on, without any further ado, let me begin my story. Now, just a little introduction. My story does have a little bit of mystery. To this day, I wonder, what did I experience? Because I don't fully understand it, but it is also really heartfelt, and I keep it close to my heart. So let me begin my story. So when I was 6 years old, I gained a dog, and he was a Shetland sheepdog, very beautiful breed, a fully grown adult male, and his name was Cujo. Now, Cujo was a very sweet dog with a beautiful soul, and he attached to us very quickly, and he came into our lives by means of my father's friend. And my father's friend would come and visit my father, and his dog would tag along, and yes, you guessed it, it was Cujo. My siblings and I, we would be playing outside, and Cujo became used to us and grew fond of us. So one day, he just did not want to go back home with his rightful owner. And to cut a long story short, after much unsuccessful attempts to get his dog back, Cujo ended up being our family dog. So that was really sad for him. He did love his dog so much and took good care of him. But children, our energy, it was far too enticing for Cujo, so he became our dog. So that's how he started a bond with us and became our family dog and part of our family. Unfortunately, fast forward to when I was 7, my parents split up, and we all went our separate ways. So my mom took my siblings and I, we ended up in a place where pets were not allowed, and my father took our dog, Cujo. Now, he took care of him for the most part and bathed him and did all the most important things for him. And my father was the reason I ended up loving dogs so much. He instilled the love for dogs in my heart that I still have so strongly to this day, and he was a huge animal lover. So after the split, he would come by and I would see my dog. My dog would be so happy to see me. So those were some good times. But as situations like these call for at times, and I don't want to get too deep in the subject, you do have people that aggravate situations like this even more. And there were people in the background that prevented my father from coming to see us. So we ended up going through a huge patch where I didn't see my father at all. So along with that situation, I of course lost touch completely with my pet. Didn't see him. I knew he suffered great separation anxiety because he was attached to me, followed me everywhere when we were still back home and as a family. Anyway, so life went on, and us children, we just had to deal with things. Years later, just a side note, when drama settled down and everybody started to speak again, I was reunited with my father and found that there was a time where Cujo was taken care of by his friends. He went into a depression, couldn't deal well, and these friends knew how much my father loved his dog and assisted him. Cujo became well adjusted in this family home and was taken care of, I guess, till his last days. And my father was in his life as well the entire time. So go back some time now, when I was going through the time where I didn't see my father at all, I was 10 years old now. So fast forward from the split to when I was 10. So one day I went to school and we were changing classes. And there were lots of kids going in all directions, as you can imagine. It was quite a busy school with lots of children. I was in a public school system, and there were big children shoving past my friends and I with their big bags. I was very anxious as a child. There was a class we needed to get to. I still remember it was a geography class, and our teacher was extremely strict. And we needed to get there on time. Wasted enough time already getting there. When I turned to my right, and I saw a dog against a wall, quite far from me, under a specific staircase at the end of the section that we were in. And he looked a lot like Cujo until after a lot of scrutiny, I realized it was him. So I called him. The kids looked at me like I was crazy. I'm calling my dog in the middle of everybody walking to their classes. And my friend nudged me and said, we got to get to class. And of course, I wanted to run to my dog. I never saw him for the longest time. But in the back of my head, I wondered where my father was, because I knew that Cujo lived with my father. And I hadn't seen my father as well in a very long time at this point. But I thought he'd still be there. I assumed my father was there as well. And I went to class. And finally class was over. And I bolted down the stairs to see if my dog was there. And on top of that, to double check that it actually was him. Because he did stare at me when I called his name. He didn't come toward me, but he did look my way. Well, as I had expected at the time, he was not there. I went home that day and I told my mom about it. She was actually puzzled, but she was hopeful for me. She saw my excitement and she didn't want to burst my bubble. So she encouraged me that, yes, of course, I'd still see him again. Perhaps my father came to see me at school. Perhaps Kuji ended up running and ended up in the school. Ended up wandering about and ended up in the school. So she reassured me I'd see him again, and I was hopeful. Fast forward to now, the last time I saw my dog. So it was, I think, the end of the week. And I was still thinking about him, hadn't seen him. Still keeping an eye out and wondering, what's going on. Why would I just randomly see my dog in the school all of a sudden after such a long time, and my father wasn't there? So it was a bit of a mystery to me. But anyway, so I needed to, in this particular day, I needed to finish some classwork, and I stayed in after school with some friends. No, it was not detention. Not in this instance anyway. So I finished up my work and I headed toward the exit. My friends went in another direction. I stayed directly opposite the main school gate. And I walked past the staff room. Now, when I reached the staff room, it was really quiet. And it was at that point that I still remember to this day, I had a creepy sensation. I just all of a sudden started to feel unsettled, uneasy. It was a bit dark in that area. It was late afternoon. And there were 2 cars in the parking lot that was just ahead of the staff room. So I needed to step into the parking lot and cross it and get out of the exit, the gate that was leading toward my home. So as I passed the staff room, I registered it was really quiet and I could hear wind. I couldn't hear anything else. It was absolutely quiet and I felt quite creeped out, to be honest. I just don't know. I never felt that way before in that school. But on that particular day, I did feel unusual. I felt unsettled. I felt a chill. So I got to the parking lot and I passed a car that was parked. So there were 2 cars parked side by side. And as I approached these 2 cars, I could see all around both of these cars, nothing there, and there was nobody there. So it was just me, and I was venturing toward the gate to get out of the school. As I passed the car that was closest to me on my right, and just got past the car, I heard footsteps behind me. And I was freaked out. I turned around instinctively and my heart was pounding. And in front of me, in front of that car, was my dog. And I remember, yes, I was excited to see him, but I was really, really, really confused as to where he came from. So I called his name. I said, Cujo, and I did that little gesture thing we do for our dogs. He wouldn't come closer, so I went toward him and he stepped back and he went all the way back. So I stopped and there was a space between us in a silence. And in that moment, I felt uncomfortable. Now, normally, in a normal situation, you'd run to your dog, you'd hug your dog, you'd pick your dog up and squeeze your dog and do the most. But I just was stopped in my tracks. I just was prevented from doing that. I had a feeling. And as a young child, I just obeyed that feeling. I guess it was like an intuition. I felt cold. It was a fairly warm day. It was a normal day up until that point, and I just felt chills. So in that moment, I didn't want to waste that opportunity and just do nothing. Even though I felt uncomfortable, I decided to bolt to my house, which was right opposite the gate. And I was there in my house, in the back door, into the kitchen as quick as a flash. My mother was there. I grabbed food, got back to that spot. And the whole point was to get him to follow me back home. But when I got there, he was completely gone. So I looked in the street leading out of the school. He wasn't even walking away. He wasn't anywhere in that area. I looked everywhere. I looked at the staff room area. Under the cars, of course, that was the first thing I did. I looked in the lawn that was next to the parking lot. And I made sure to look everywhere I possibly could in that area before I decided to leave. But I still felt uneasy throughout doing so. Now, that was the very last time I saw my dog, and the heartbreak in his eyes was just horrible. And I felt such heartbreak because in that moment I felt like he thought I abandoned him when I didn't. Things were very complicated, and a lot of the memory of this was vague. But my heart broke. But I don't know what kind of a visitation that was because of how I felt in that moment. The air was cold. Where did he come from, and where did he just go to? He couldn't even run. He was already quite old. So it'll always be a mystery to me. The one thing, though, that stands out to me the most is that my dog definitely had an intention, and that was to see me one last time. So it seemed very intentional. And even though it fills my heart full of love, it also gives me chills. When I think of that, I don't fully understand what I experienced there. I just know that my dog loved me and that he came back to see me. So yeah, that's my story. And later on, when I was reunited with my father, long after this situation, I found out that, well, I kind of pinned it down to the timeline that I saw my dog, that my father said that he wasn't doing so well and my dog wasn't doing too well and friends were helping him look after him. But every day goes by, I think of him, and he'll always be in my mind and he'll always be in my heart. So if you stayed up until this point, thank you so much for staying and listening to the whole story. If you are a fellow pet owner, go and give your dog a cuddle, or your cat or your bunny. Give them a cuddle and let them know just how much you love them. Because as much as we love our pets, they love us more. And it's an unspoken love. You can see it in their eyes. So yeah, don't take them for granted. They are so beautiful and they are sweet, pure beings. So with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. Stay safe, guys, and until next time.